Alright, let me show you what you're going to work on today. You're going to work on the old domestic here. We got a show next week, and then we got one more in the fall. And we are going to restore this, you know, paint it up and everything. But I'm not going to get into that until winter time. But today what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm going to start putting a little gingerbread on it and stuff like that, you know. Like maybe a brass part here or something like that. Matter of fact, I already put a box on there in the back, shellacked that all up, and that's where our batteries. That's only going to be temporary too. That's bigger than the one we're going to put on there originally. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to replace this rod here. You see how sloppy and messy that is? Let me see. Give you a little light. I don't think this is supposed to be there. We thought this was wore out, but after looking at it and looking at pictures of these engines on the interwebs, this rod here is actually undersized. And then if you look back here, the other end of it, you can actually see that looks like a 3/8 threaded rod going in there, and that rod on there is like a 1/4 inch. So I think that's 3/8, and this hole might be 5/16. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take that rod out. It's only about 18 inches, and I picked up a piece of brass here, 3/8 piece of brass, 4 foot, and I'm only going to need, like I say, 18 inches. So this 4 foot of this cost me $10. So to replace that rod and make it a little better, it's going to cost about $3. So well worth it. All right. Let's take you up to the bench and I'll tell you what we're going to do. Well, actually, I'll tell you right now. I'll go up there. All I'm going to do is I'm going to have to reduce this, bring this thread down to a 5/16, and thread the other end there. And that's about it, you know. I mean, it's going to be quick and easy. In and out on the lathe, and that's about all we're going to do. So, if you want to stick with me for something silly like that, that's fine. If not, have a good day. Alright, here's something that was interesting and kind of funny if you think about it. Me and a little dirt bike were in a steel store, and we're looking at the brass, and we came across this 3/8, and it had the yellow paint on there. And if you look at the other stuff, you know, they color code it for prices a lot of times, you know, like they'll have blue and green and silver and white. But in one bin, they had this 3/8 rod, and one had a yellow dot on it, and the other one had red, and they were in the same bin. And I asked the little dirt bike, I said, I wonder what the difference is. You know, I wasn't thinking, you know. And then I come home, and I had this other piece of brass here, and I put them next to each other, and then it dawns on me, you know, you get red brass and you get yellow brass. So that's probably what the dot was. And luckily I got the yellow one, because yellow brass I think is a little stronger, not as soft as this. This, I think the red brass is like 60 to 80% copper, you know, and it's, like I say, this pipe here, I guess it's maybe for water or something, I don't know. But anyway, the yellow stuff is more for decoration, and the average person wouldn't know the difference. You shine it up, you know, most people can't tell the difference between copper, brass, or anything, so it's not going to matter to me. But I thought that was funny. Alright, let me cut this to size, or take that other rod off, and we'll go over to the lathe. Alright, got it all loosened up and ready to go. Back these ones off, and loosened that one, so it should come right out now. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this push rod isn't for the valves. Let me stick it back in there. Yeah, this push rod actually pushes this latch out mechanism here that holds the valves open while the wheel is coasting. This doesn't actually have push rods. The valves open off of this little roller bearing here, and there's a little notch on that cam. Whoop, we lost. Oh, this thing got a lot of compression. There we go. Yeah, it runs off that little lobe there, you know, instead of a push rod. Alright, we bend down here and get that and bring it up front. Now let's put this for size. You know, you put this on the table here, you can actually see how bent that was. It didn't look that bad on the machine. It's crazy. Let's measure it out here. I don't know if you can see it, but the end here's not mushroom, but from where they cut it was a little messed up. So we're gonna go about a 1/4 inch off their edge, 1/4 inch off the edge there, and then just mark it and cut that. Here's something interesting. Here's the nut that came off the end of this, right? It's 3/8 thread. It goes on there nice. And here's what we use today. You know, if I said, here, give me a 3/8 nut, this is what would be handed to me, and it would work. It goes on there. But let me show you the difference of what went on 100 years ago. This engine, I think, is a 1924. Look at the difference in width on this one, right? This is your modern nut, right? 3/8 thread everything, and a 9/16 wrench fit on there. And this is one from 1924, almost 100 years ago. Not quite, but it's not even the next size up, right? Here's a 5/8. 5/8 won't fit. You have to go to an 11/16 to make that fit. So it's actually 2 sizes bigger. Pretty interesting, huh? Alright, I got a piece of brass in the machine here, and I wrapped it up with tape so it's when it starts spinning, it may look a little cattywampus, but that's not going to affect us, because I'm just going to keep this in here. It's going to be the 3/8 side. I'm just going to tap this, or I should say cut the threads, die. Since I have it in the machine and everything, I'll face it off. You know, a lot of guys are wondering, you know, how do you get a big piece of brass in there? You know, 18-inch piece of brass. You actually got a little hole in the back here, so you could have a 40-foot piece. But I can only, in this little lathe here, I could probably only go up to maybe 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8 tops. But some guys that own lathes don't even know that. They don't know that it goes through. You have a hole there. I had to take down my chip barrier a little bit, so I didn't go through it, but it's okay. Alright, I'm going to set you up. You're going to be back a little far. You're going to be zoomed in, but I'm going to throw you up on a tripod, and you guys will, I got to do that so you're out of the way. Alright, hold on. We're going to put you up there. Sharpest bit, but it'll do what we need. That looks good. Let me get a file. Alright. Yeah, I'm just going to put a little chamfer on there and start the threads. I'll do it left-handed here. plenty. Alright, now I'm going to make a mark. I don't know if you guys can see that. You're right. But here's the thread that we're using. And I'm just going to make a mark. I just happen to have a file with me. So. Alright, let me take that tape off of there, and we'll start making some threads. Alright, let's try and put some threads on this thing. If you ask 10 different people what kind of lubricant to use, you're going to get 10 different answers when it comes to brass. I'm just using this to hold that square. So anyway, like I said, you ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers. But one of them is going to say, just cut it dry. And that's the suggestion we're going to use. Alright, it's going to hold a square. Got to lock this in place here, lock our chuck. Okay. Get that ready to go. Alright. Can't help but get in your way, but we'll try and stay out of it. I'm crossing my arms over here because I'm moving this drill chuck in as I'm turning it. And as we start cutting the threads, I'll be able to get that out of the way. We're turning our machine here. I didn't want to get too tight on this because I was going to mar. It's going to mar that up. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. We'll see what happens. Some guys put aluminum shims in there. That's still turning. Alright, let me see what I can do to fix that. Alright, let me tell you what's going on here. I tapped this and I'm getting threads, I'm getting beautiful threads, but I'm using these hexagonal taps. And you know, these come in the kits that you get from Craftsman and all the other ones, and they're pretty much just for chasing threads. I mean, you can cut threads with them, but you know, alright. Yeah. I even switched over. I got some Tap Magic because this thing was screaming, and I'll show you what it was doing. I mean, it was working, like I said. I was getting beautiful threads. A machinist would know what's going on here, but like brass is grabby material. All right, here we go. You hear how tight that is? And it's actually starting to scream a little bit. So, you hear that? Road King don't like that. So instead of listening to that and forcing it, and you know, like I say, I'm getting beautiful threads with it. But I can hear the machinist screaming. You can hear him screaming through the camera there. So like I say, the threads are coming out beautiful, and it would have been okay. You throw a nut on there. Oh, here's a nut right here. See, the threads are coming out beautiful, but they didn't like all that screaming. So what I did is I got one of these. You know, these are actually made for cutting threads, and you can adjust them. You know, they got the slit in it. You know, I had a bunch of these, so like I say, I'm going to use some Tap Magic. It says for all metals. I guess any lubricant would help. But anyway, this was working pretty good. Almost like it was made for it. Look at that spin on there. Oh yeah, look at that. but you can actually hear it, you know, cutting nicely now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these threads all the way up to where I want, and then I'll just chase it with the other one, even though I probably don't have to. But this is one of them cases where you use the right tool. It works a little better for you. Even now it feels a little grabby, but you know, it is what it is. I could loosen up on it if I want, but then it would take twice as long. And I'm going to say it's working. I'm almost where I want to be. Just there, I don't want to lose you there. See, these are the threads that I actually cut down here. Got some alcohol here so I can clean that off. I should pour it in here. See, now I can keep turning that on. It's tight. Keep turning it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little Tap Magic on there. You know, of the tap here. And then just cut over them so it's barely going to be cutting. Even there you hear it screaming a little bit. So you machinists, let me know. Why is it crying? I'm leaving that video going, so I'm leaving that thing on, the camera on, so you can see what's going on. And maybe I'll get a decent answer. So like I say, it's working, but and they're beautiful threads. But it sounded like it didn't want to work, didn't want to do it. There we go. Yeah. Some of you machinists out there, real machinists, tell me what's going on there. Alright, let's go back in the lathe and we'll cut the other side. Alright, let's cut this side down to 5/16. This guy's cutting alright. It's not the sharpest bit. That fact, it's not sharp at all. It's alright though, it's doing what we need to do. Alright. Yeah, that's a little better. That was bordering on embarrassing. I had to try and sharpen that. I didn't round the edge off though, that's why we're getting such a long cut here. Oh yeah, we got that. There you go. Yeah, it's much better. Yeah, Mike usually sharpens the bits. You know, he does an excellent job. He don't get this straight stuff like I do. That's crazy. All right, just gotta take a little bit more off. Not much at all. All right, I got that cut down. We need a 5/16. That's what I set my machine for here, and I cut a smidge smaller than I needed, just to see if that was our problem. You know, it was too tight when we made that last thread, so we'll see. I mean, if we run it, we'll just make another one, right? Alright, this is the same deal as before. I started this and I brought the chuck up here to make it square and flat, and for some reason my little my other hex die wasn't working, so I had to put this round one in and use this adjustable wrench here, and you hear it, it's catching on there. Okay, and it's threading. So what we'll do is we'll do like we did before. We'll take us over to the vise, and I'll show you why the other one wasn't catching. All right, we got yours in the vise over here, and we're ready to screw that in, tighten that up. But check this out. This is the one hex. It's 5/16/18 Craftsman. This is a good one. This is way back when they made them USA and stuff. This is an old set. This is about a 40-year-old set. But here's why I wouldn't grab. See that? One of the little corners, just one corner is broken off. And that don't mean this isn't any good. That just means you can't start a thread with it. But once these threads are started, I can use this again. So I'm gonna throw you guys up on a tripod and let's do some thread making. All right. Yeah, she's screaming a little, but not much. Quiet it down since I put some of that Tap Magic on there. I was almost worried I cut it down too much, but it looks good from over here. And this is going to take me about a minute or two, so I'm going to shut these down until we get to the end. Alright, take a break. Yeah, I think the shaft on the other one might have just been too tight, you know, because this is actually cutting nice. And it's quiet, it's not screaming. I don't even have to back off. It's just spitting the chips out. should have blew that off. Should have blew that off, but no worries. Alright, that's working out well. As a matter of fact, I put this on backwards so it can go right up against that edge there. And then I'll put it back in the lathe and I'll chamfer that edge. But yeah, this is cutting nice. Let's see how nut fits on here. Okay, fits nice and tight, so that's good. Okay, we'll be okay. Let me finish this up and then we'll see you over at the machine later. The engine. Alright, yeah, we put a little chamfer on here so it wasn't a rough edge that came down to the threads. And while it was in the machine there, in the lathe, we put some mother's polish on there. And boy, that really come up nice. Here's what it was originally. Almost a different color. And I checked the hoard here with miscellaneous brass, and I was able to come up with 2 brass 5/16 nuts. I haven't come up with a 3/8, but I don't know if I might use this one back here. I might clean that up and use it. I kind of like the thickness of that. But if not, I could always put both of them on there, 2 of them on there. Maybe not. Alright, let's go put it on the machine. I'll get no fingerprints on it. Alright, there you go. That goes to show you, something stupid and silly as a rod with threads on it can give you that much trouble. But, put the light on here, you go. But it came out, look, it's not shaking, it fits a hole nice and everything. And that's one thing that ain't gonna make noise. So, here you go. Alright, well, thanks for hanging in there with us. And I guess we'll see you on the next one, right? Alright, enough of this.